The camera's red light blinked. And Ellie Harper's heart raced like it was auditioning for a role it wasn't ready to play. She stood under the hot studio lights, her script trembling in her hands. But it wasn't the lines that made her knees weak, it was the woman behind the camera. Lena Voss, the director, leaned forward, her voice a low, velvet command that cut through the chaos of the Hollywood set. Ellie, feel the moment, not just the words. Ellie, 22, was a rising star with a smile that could light up a room and a past that kept her up at night. Born in a small Ohio town, she'd clawed her way to Los Angeles with nothing but a high school theater trophy and a dream. Her short, tousled brown hair framed a face that held both innocence and grit, her hazel eyes catching the light as they darted toward Lena. This was her first major film, a gritty lesbian romance called Shades of Us, and every moment on set felt like a tightrope walk between her ambition and her heart. Lena, 24, was the youngest director ever hired by the studio, a prodigy with a reputation for intensity and vision. Her sleek black hair was always pulled back, her leather jacket a constant, and her blue eyes seemed to see through people, straight to their souls. She'd grown up in New York, raised by a single mother who taught her to fight for every opportunity. Lena's confidence was magnetic, but there was a guarded edge to her, a wall Ellie was desperate to scale. The set was a whirlwind of cables, lights, and shouting crew members. But to Ellie, it was just her and Lena. They were filming a pivotal scene where Ellie's character, Mia, confesses her love to her co-star, a moment that felt too real every time Lena called action. Ellie poured her heart into the lines, her voice breaking as she spoke of forbidden love. Her eyes locked on Lena's instead of her co-star's. The crew didn't notice, but Lena did. Her lips parted slightly, and for a moment, the world stopped. Cut. Lena's voice snapped Ellie back to reality. The crew erupted into motion, but Lena's gaze lingered on Ellie, a flicker of something unspoken passing between them. That was perfect, Lena said, stepping closer, her voice softer now. You're making this film come alive. Ellie's cheeks flushed. I'm just following your lead, she said, her voice barely above a whisper. Lena's hand brushed hers as she adjusted a prop, and the touch sent a jolt through Ellie's body. It was a fleeting moment, but it felt like a promise. Over the next few weeks, the set became their world. Late-night rehearsals turned into conversations that stretched past midnight. The two of them sitting on the soundstage with takeout containers and dreams. Lena shared stories of her childhood, her mother's sacrifices, and her fear of failing. Ellie confessed her insecurities, the pressure of being the new girl in Hollywood, and the ache of hiding who she really was back home. They laughed over shared playlists and argued about classic films, their connection growing with every stolen glance. One night, after a grueling 14-hour shoot, Lena pulled Ellie aside in the prop room. The air was thick with the scent of paint and dust, and the dim light cast shadows across Lena's face. You're different, Ellie, Lena said, her voice low and urgent. You make me want to break my own rules. Before Ellie could respond, Lena closed the distance between them, her lips brushing Ellie's in a kiss that felt like the climax of every scene they'd filmed. It was tentative at first, then desperate, as if they'd both been holding their breath for weeks. Ellie's heart soared. She'd never felt so seen, so wanted. Lena's hands cupped her face, and for the first time, Ellie believed she could have it all: the career, the love, the life she'd dreamed of. They pulled apart, breathless, and Lena's smile was a rare, unguarded thing. We'll figure this out, Lena whispered. Just you and me. But Hollywood was a city of secrets, and not all of them were kind. The next day, Ellie overheard whispers among the crew, rumors about Lena's past. About a scandal that had nearly derailed her career before it began. Something about a co-star. A betrayal. And a lawsuit swept under the rug. Ellie brushed it off as gossip. But a seed of doubt took root. Lena was so guarded. So careful with her words. What was she hiding? As filming continued, their romance bloomed in stolen moments, secret touches behind the set. Late-night drives along the Pacific Coast Highway. Lena's hand on Ellie's knee as they watched the stars. But the whispers grew louder. And Ellie couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. Lena's phone buzzed constantly. Her expression darkening with every text she read. When Ellie asked, Lena would smile and say, "Just work stuff." But her eyes told a different story. One evening, Ellie arrived early to the set and found Lena arguing with a producer in a hushed, heated tone. "You can't keep this up, Lena," the producer said. "She deserves to know." Ellie froze, her heart pounding. Know what? She slipped away before they saw her. But the words haunted her. That night, Lena was distant, her usual warmth replaced by a distracted edge. Ellie tried to ask, but Lena deflected, saying, "Let's just focus on the film." "Okay." The tension built like a storm. Ellie threw herself into her role, channeling her confusion and hurt into Mia's character. The crew praised her raw emotion, but Lena's feedback grew sharper, her patience thinner. Ellie felt like she was losing her, and the fear gnawed at her. Was it just the pressure of the film? Or was Lena pulling away for a reason? On the night of the big love scene, the set was quiet, the crew minimal to keep the moment intimate. Ellie stood in her character's costume, a simple dress that made her feel exposed. Lena's directions were precise, almost clinical, and it stung. But when the cameras rolled, Ellie gave everything, her longing, her fear, her love for Lena spilling into every word. The scene ended, and the crew applauded, but Lena just nodded, her face unreadable. Afterward, Ellie found Lena alone in the editing bay, staring at the footage. "What's going on, Lena?" Ellie asked, her voice trembling. "I thought we had something real." Lena turned, her eyes glistening with unshed tears. "We do," she said, but her voice cracked. "But there's something I need to tell you." Ellie's heart stopped. The truth was coming, and she wasn't sure she was ready to hear it. The editing bay was a cocoon of shadows, the glow of the monitors casting Lena's face in a pale, flickering light. Ellie stood frozen, her pulse hammering in her ears as Lena's words hung in the air. "There's something I need to tell you," Lena repeated, her voice barely above a whisper, but it carried the weight of a confession that could shatter everything. Ellie's mind raced. She wanted to demand answers, to shake Lena until the truth spilled out, but fear held her back. What if the rumors were true? What if Lena wasn't who she seemed? The past month had been a whirlwind of emotions, kisses that felt like promises, late-night confessions that bared their souls. Ellie had let herself believe in a future with Lena, but now doubt crept in like a thief. "Tell me," Ellie said, her voice steadier than she felt. She stepped closer, the space between them charged with tension. Lena's blue eyes, usually so piercing, were clouded with something Ellie couldn't read: guilt, maybe, or regret. Lena ran a hand through her hair, the gesture betraying her nerves. "It's not what you think," she started, then stopped, as if the words were stuck. "I didn't mean for this to happen. Not like this." Ellie's stomach twisted. "What does that mean, Lena? Just say it." Her voice cracked, and she hated how vulnerable it made her sound. She'd spent years building walls around her heart, Growing up in a town where being openly queer was a risk she couldn't take. Lena had made her feel safe, like she could finally be herself. But now, that safety felt like a lie. Lena took a deep breath. Her hands clenched at her sides. Before this film, I worked on a project in New York. A low-budget indie film. I was just an assistant director then, trying to prove myself. There was someone. An actress. Her name was Claire. Lena's voice faltered, and Ellie's heart sank. She'd heard the name Claire in the crew's whispers, tied to words like scandal and heartbreak. What happened? Ellie asked, her voice barely audible. She braced herself, every muscle tense. Lena looked away, her gaze fixed on the monitor where Ellie's love scene played on a loop. Claire and I got close. Too close. She was married, Ellie, to a producer. I didn't know at first, she didn't tell me. When it came out, it was a mess. The producer threatened to sue, to ruin my career before it even started. I was 22, terrified, and I walked away. I let her go. Ellie's breath caught. The story wasn't what she'd expected, but it still stung. So what does this have to do with us? She asked, her voice sharp. Why are you telling me this now? Lena's eyes met hers, raw and pleading. Because Claire's back. She's working with the studio again. And she's been texting me. She says she's left her husband, that she wants to fix things. I didn't respond. Ellie, I swear. But she's here. In L. And I didn't want you to hear it from someone else. Ellie's world tilted. The idea of another woman, someone from Lena's past, threatening what they had, it was too much. Do you still love her? She asked, the question burning her throat. No, Lena said quickly, stepping closer. I love you, Ellie. What I felt for Claire it was intense. But it wasn't real. Not like this. She reached for Ellie's hand, but Ellie pulled back, her heart warring with her head. Then why didn't you tell me sooner? Ellie's voice rose, echoing in the small room. Why let me fall for you, knowing this could blow up in our faces? Lena's face crumpled. I was scared. I thought if I told you, you'd run. And I couldn't lose you. The words hit Ellie like a punch. She wanted to believe Lena, to cling to the warmth of their stolen moments. But the doubt was relentless. I need time, she said, turning away. I can't do this right now. She left the editing bay, the cool night air hitting her like a slap as she stepped onto the lot. The Hollywood sign loomed in the distance, a mocking reminder of her dreams. She'd come to L. to find herself, to build a life where she could be free. But now, she felt like she was unraveling. The next week was torture. Filming continued, but the magic between Ellie and Lena was gone, replaced by a strained professionalism that fooled no one. The crew sensed the tension, their whispers growing bolder. Ellie threw herself into her role, using Mia's pain to mirror her own. Every love scene felt like a knife twisting in her chest. Lena's directions a reminder of what they'd lost. One afternoon, during a break, Ellie saw a woman lingering near the set. She was striking blonde, mid-20s, with a poised elegance that screamed money. Their eyes met, and Ellie knew instantly, this was Claire. The woman's gaze was sharp, assessing, and when she smiled, it didn't reach her eyes. Ellie's stomach churned. She wanted to confront her, to demand answers, but fear held her back. What if Claire was the one Lena couldn't let go? That night, Ellie found a note slipped under her trailer door. In Lena's hurried scrawl, it read, Meet me at the beach. Midnight. Please. Ellie's heart ached, torn between anger and longing. She crumpled the note but couldn't throw it away. Against her better judgment, she drove to the beach, the sound of waves crashing under a starless sky. Lena was there, sitting on a blanket, her leather jacket draped over her shoulders. I didn't think you'd come, she said, her voice soft but heavy. I almost didn't, Ellie admitted, sitting beside her but keeping her distance. I don't know if I can trust you, Lena. Lena nodded, her eyes fixed on the ocean. I messed up. I should have told you about Claire from the start. But I need you to know that you're not a rebound. Ellie. You're everything I didn't know I was looking for. Ellie's throat tightened. She wanted to believe her, to fall back into the warmth of Lena's arms. But the shadow of Claire loomed large. What happens if she keeps coming back? Ellie asked. What happens when the film wraps? And we're not in this bubble anymore. Lena reached for her hand. And this time, Ellie didn't pull away. I don't know, Lena said honestly. But I want to find out with you. If you'll let me. The waves crashed, and Ellie's heart wavered. She wasn't ready to forgive. Not yet. But she wasn't ready to let go either. The beach was a canvas of silver and shadow. The ocean's rhythm a stark contrast to the chaos in Ellie's heart. Lena's hand was warm in hers. But the weight of her confession pressed down like a storm cloud. Ellie wanted to lose herself in Lena's words. To believe in the future they could build. But Claire's shadow lingered. A question mark Ellie couldn't erase. I need more than promises, Ellie said, pulling her hand away and standing. The sand was cool beneath her feet, grounding her as her emotions swirled. You say you love me, but how do I know it's not just the heat of the moment? This film, it's not real life. Lena stood too, her face etched with desperation. It's real to me, Ellie. You're real to me. I've spent years hiding who I am, keeping people at arm's length because I was scared of getting hurt again. But with you, I don't want to hide anymore. Ellie's chest ached. She wanted to believe her, but trust was a fragile thing, and hers was cracked. I need time, she repeated, turning toward her car. Lena didn't follow, and the silence between them felt louder than the waves. Back at her small apartment in West Hollywood, Ellie couldn't sleep. She stared at the ceiling, replaying every moment with Lena, the laughter, the kisses, the way Lena's eyes softened when she thought no one was watching. But Claire's name kept creeping in, a poison seeping into her memories. Who was this woman? And why did she still have such a hold on Lena? The next day on set, Ellie's focus was shot. She flubbed lines, missed cues, and snapped at a PA who didn't deserve it. Lena noticed. Her directions gentle but firm. But there was a distance between them that hadn't been there before. During a break, Ellie's co-star, Tara, pulled her aside. Tara was a veteran actress, 30, with a no-nonsense attitude and a knack for reading people. You okay, kid? Tara asked, handing Ellie a coffee. You look like you're carrying the world on your shoulders. Ellie forced a smile. Just tired. Long shoot. Tara raised an eyebrow. Don't bullshit me. This is about Lena, isn't it? When Ellie didn't answer, Tara sighed. Look, I've been in this industry a long time. Lena's talented, but she's got baggage. I heard about her and Claire back in New York. Messy stuff. Just be careful. Okay. Ellie's stomach dropped. What do you know about Claire? She asked, her voice barely steady. Tara hesitated, then leaned closer. Claire was trouble. charmed her way into Lena's life, then left her to take the fall when things went south. Lena was devastated. Claire's back. It's not for Lovey, it's for control. The words hit Ellie like a slap. She thanked Tara and walked away, her mind spinning. Was Lena still caught in Claire's web? Or was she telling the truth about moving on? Ellie needed answers. But confronting Lena again felt like walking into a minefield. That night, Ellie did something impulsive. She searched for Claire online. It wasn't hard to find her. Claire Monroe, 26, was a former actress turned influencer. Her Instagram filled with glamorous photos and cryptic captions. One post, dated a week ago, showed Claire and Elle standing outside a studio lot with the caption, "Back where it all began," ready to rewrite the story. Ellie's blood ran cold. Was this about Lena? The next day, Claire showed up on set. She was everything Ellie feared, poised, beautiful, and commanding attention without trying. She was there as a consultant, according to the producer. But her eyes were on Lena, not the script. Ellie watched from the sidelines, her heart pounding as Claire leaned close to Lena, whispering something that made Lena tense. When Lena glanced at Ellie, her expression was unreadable, but the guilt in her eyes was unmistakable. Ellie couldn't take it anymore. During a lunch break, she cornered Lena in the costume trailer. "What's she doing here, Lena?" she demanded, her voice shaking. "You said you were done with her." Lena's jaw tightened. "I didn't invite her, Ellie. The studio did. They think her input will boost the film's buzz. I told them it was a bad idea, but they don't listen." "Then why didn't you tell me she was coming?" Ellie's voice rose, drawing glances from nearby crew members. "I'm trying to trust you, but you keep shutting me out." Lena stepped closer, her voice low and urgent. "I'm trying to protect you. Claire's manipulative, Ellie. She thrives on drama. I didn't want you caught in her games." "Then why does it feel like you're the one playing games?" Ellie shot back. Tears stung her eyes, but she refused to let them fall. "I can't keep doing this, Lena. I can't keep wondering if I'm just a placeholder." Lena's face crumpled. "You're not. God. Ellie. You're everything to me. I'm trying to fix this. I swear." "Fix it how?" Ellie asked, her voice breaking. "By pretending she doesn't exist. By pretending this doesn't hurt." Lena didn't have an answer. The silence was deafening, and Ellie walked away, her heart in pieces. She threw herself into filming, using her pain to fuel Mia's character. The crew noticed the difference. Her scenes were raw, electric, the kind of performance that could define a career. But every night, Ellie went home alone, haunted by Lena's silence and Claire's presence. One evening, Ellie found another note in Lena's handwriting. "Meet me at the observatory. 9 p.m. No more secrets." Her first instinct was to ignore it, to protect herself from more hurt. But something in her hope, maybe, or desperation made her go. The Griffith Observatory was quiet, the city lights sprawling below like a sea of stars. Lena stood by the railing, her leather jacket catching the moonlight. "I'm done hiding," she said as Ellie approached. "I told Claire to stay away. I told the studio I'd walk if they pushed her on me. I choose you, Ellie. I'll always choose you." Ellie's heart ached, torn between hope and fear. "How do I know you mean it?" she asked, her voice barely a whisper. Lena stepped closer, her eyes fierce. "Because I'm standing here, risking everything, just to make this right." The city lights glittered below the Griffith Observatory, a dazzling reminder of the dreams that had brought Ellie to Los Angeles. But standing there, face to face with Lena, those dreams felt fragile, like they could shatter with one wrong word. Lena's declaration, "I choose you," hung in the air, heavy with promise. But Ellie's heart was still bruised, caught between longing and doubt. "Lena, I want to believe you," Ellie said, her voice trembling as the cool night air brushed her skin. "But words aren't enough. Claire's here, on our set, in our world. How do I know she's not still in your head?" Lena's eyes, usually so guarded, were raw with emotion. "She's not," she said, stepping closer. "Claire was a mistake. A moment when I was young and stupid and thought I could fix someone who didn't want to be fixed. You're different, Ellie. You make me want to be better." Ellie's throat tightened. She wanted to fall into Lena's arms, to let the warmth of her words erase the pain. But trust wasn't a switch she could flip. "Then why does it feel like I'm fighting her ghost?" she asked. "Every time I see her, I wonder if you're comparing us, if I'm enough." Lena's face fell, and she reached for Ellie's hand, her touch gentle but firm. "You're more than enough. Claire's here because the studio sees her as a headline, not because I want her. I told her to leave, Ellie. I told her there's no place for her in my life." Ellie searched Lena's eyes, looking for a lie, but all she saw was sincerity and pain. It was the first time she'd seen Lena so vulnerable, and it shook her. "What did she say?" Ellie asked, almost afraid of the answer. Lena sighed, her shoulders slumping. She laughed. "Said I'd regret it. But I don't care what she thinks anymore. I care about you." The words were a lifeline, but Ellie wasn't ready to grab it. She turned away, gazing at the city below, its lights blurring through unshed tears. "I need to see it, Lena. Not just hear it. I've spent my whole life hiding who I am, pretending to be someone I'm not. I can't do that with you." Lena nodded, her jaw tight. "Then let me prove it. Give me a chance to show you I mean it." Ellie didn't answer, but she didn't walk away either. They stood there, the silence stretching between them, heavy with unspoken promises. Finally, Ellie nodded, a small gesture that felt like a leap. "Okay," she whispered. But no more secrets. The next week on set was a delicate dance. Lena was true to her word. She kept Claire at a distance, redirecting her to the producers whenever she tried to insert herself into the shoot. Ellie noticed the effort, the way Lena's eyes sought hers for reassurance, the way her directions softened when they worked together. But Claire's presence was a constant thorn, her polished smile and calculated touches lingering like a bad dream. One afternoon, Claire cornered Ellie in the makeup trailer. The air was thick with the scent of hairspray, and the mirror reflected Claire's sharp beauty as she leaned close. "You're Ellie, right?" she said, her voice smooth as silk. "Lena's new muse." Ellie's skin prickled. "Something like that," she replied, keeping her tone neutral. Claire smiled, but it was cold, predatory. "Be careful with her. Lena's got a way of making you feel like you're the only one in the room until you're not." She paused, her eyes narrowing. "She broke my heart once. Don't let her break yours." Ellie's heart pounded, but she held Claire's gaze. "I can take care of myself," she said, her voice steady despite the storm inside. Claire shrugged and left, but her words lingered, sowing seeds of doubt. That night, Ellie couldn't shake Claire's warning. She called Tara, her co-star, and poured out the story over cheap wine in her apartment. Tara listened, her face a mix of sympathy and frustration. "Claire's playing mind games," Tara said, refilling their glasses. She's jealous. Ellie. Lena's moved on. And Claire can't stand it. But you need to decide if you trust Lena enough to fight for this. Ellie stared into her glass, the wine's deep red reflecting her uncertainty. I want to, she admitted. But what if I'm wrong? What if I'm just another chapter in Lena's story? Tara leaned forward, her voice firm. Then you write your own story. You're not some ingenue waiting for a happy ending. You're Ellie Harper. And you're stronger than you think. The words lit a spark in Ellie. She'd come to Hollywood to take control of her life, to be unapologetically herself. She wasn't going to let Claire or her own fears steal that from her. The next day, she walked onto the set with a new resolve. She threw herself into her scenes, her performance electric, drawing gasps from the crew. Lena noticed, her eyes lingering with pride and something deeper. After the shoot, Lena pulled Ellie aside. You were incredible today, she said, her voice warm. What changed? Ellie met her gaze, her heart steady. I decided I'm not running away. Not from this film. And not from you. But I need you to meet me halfway. Lena's smile was small but genuine. I'm in. Ellie. All the way. For the first time in weeks, Ellie felt a flicker of hope. They were far from perfect, but they were fighting for something real. As they walked off the set together, Lena's hand brushed hers, and Ellie didn't pull away. But in the back of her mind, Claire's warning echoed, a reminder that the truth was still waiting backstage. The set of Shades of Us buzzed with the frenetic energy of a film nearing its climax. But for Ellie, the real drama was unfolding off camera. She and Lena were rebuilding, step by cautious step, their connection a fragile bridge over the chasm Claire had left behind. Ellie felt the weight of every glance, every touch, as if testing the strength of Lena's promises. But Claire's presence lingered like a storm on the horizon, and Ellie couldn't shake the feeling that the truth was still out of reach. Filming the final love scene was grueling. The script called for Ellie's character, Mia, to confront her lover's betrayal, a moment so raw it mirrored Ellie's own fears. Under the hot lights, Ellie channeled her pain, her voice breaking as she delivered lines that felt ripped from her heart. Lena's directions were precise, but her eyes were soft, filled with an unspoken apology. When the scene ended, the crew erupted in applause. But Ellie felt hollow, the line between fiction and reality blurring. After the shoot, Lena found Ellie in her trailer, her face still streaked with fake tears. You were breathtaking, Lena said, closing the door behind her. I've never seen anyone pour so much into a role. Ellie wiped her eyes, her voice quiet. It's not just the role, Lena. Sus. I'm trying so hard to trust you, but I keep waiting for the other shoe to drop. Lena knelt in front of her, her hands resting gently on Ellie's knees. I know I've hurt you, she said. But I'm here. Ellie. I'm not going anywhere. Ellie wanted to believe her, but Claire's words "she broke my heart" once echoed in her mind. She nodded, but the doubt remained, a shadow she couldn't outrun. The next day, the tension snapped. Claire showed up unannounced during a scene setup, her presence like a spark in a powder keg. She approached Lena, her voice loud enough for the crew to hear. We need to talk. Lena. You can't keep ignoring me. Lena's face hardened. There's nothing to say. Claire. You need to leave. The crew froze, sensing a spectacle. Ellie's heart pounded as she watched, her hands clenched at her sides. Claire's smile was sharp, calculated. You're making a mistake, she said, her eyes flicking to Ellie. She's not worth it. Lena. You'll see. Ellie's blood boiled. Before she could stop herself, she stepped forward. Enough, she said, her voice steady despite the fire in her chest. You don't get to decide what's real here. This is our set. Our story. You're not part of it. Claire's eyes narrowed, but Lena stepped between them, her voice low and firm. She's right, Claire. You're done here. Leave, or I'll have security escort you out. For a moment, Claire looked like she might push back, but the weight of Lena's resolve and the crew's stares forced her to back down. She turned and left, her heels clicking on the concrete. The set was silent, the air thick with unspoken questions. Lena turned to Ellie, her eyes fierce with gratitude. Thank you, she whispered. I should have done that weeks ago. Ellie nodded, her heart racing. You should have, she said, but there was no venom in her voice. For the first time, she felt like they were on the same side. The days that followed were a turning point. Lena was open, present, her walls coming down with every conversation. They spent nights talking, not just about the film but about their fears, their dreams, the lives they wanted to build. Ellie began to see the woman behind the director, the one who laughed at bad puns, who got teary watching old rom-coms, who wanted a future that included her. But the shadow of Claire wasn't gone. A week before the film wrapped, Ellie found an envelope slipped under her trailer door. Inside was a letter, typed in and signed, but the tone screamed Claire. It detailed Lena's past mistake dates, names, and incidents Ellie hadn't heard before. One line stood out: she'll choose her career over you, just like she did with me. Ellie's hand shook as she read it. The letter was a poison dart, designed to unravel everything she and Lena had rebuilt. She wanted to confront Lena, but fear stopped her. What if the letter was true? What if Lena's love was just a fleeting spark, destined to burn out when the cameras stopped rolling? That night, Ellie went to Lena's apartment, the letter burning a hole in her pocket. Lena opened the door, her face lighting up, but it faltered when she saw Ellie's expression. What's wrong? She asked, stepping aside to let Ellie in. Ellie handed her the letter, her voice steady despite the storm inside. I need to know if this is true. All of it. Lena's eyes scanned the paper, her face paling with every word. When she finished, she set it down, her hands trembling. Some of it's true, she admitted, her voice raw. I made mistakes, Ellie. I hurt people, not just Claire. But I'm not that person anymore. I've changed because of you. Ellie's heart ached, torn between love and fear. How do I know you won't hurt me too? She asked, her voice breaking. Lena stepped closer, her eyes pleading. Because I'm laying it all bare for you. My past, my flaws, everything. I love you, Ellie, and I'll spend every day proving it if you let me. Ellie stood there, the letter's words battling Lena's in her mind. She wanted to believe in love, in second chances, but the truth was a tightrope, and she wasn't sure she could walk it. Lena's apartment was small but warm, filled with mismatched furniture and shelves overflowing with books and vinyl records. The dim light of a single lamp cast long shadows as Ellie stood clutching the letter, her heart a battlefield of hope and doubt. Lena's confession hung between them, raw and unguarded, and for the first time, Ellie saw the weight of Lena's past not as a threat, but as a scar she'd carried alone. I want to trust you, Ellie said, her voice trembling. But this letter, it's like Claire's still here, trying to tear us apart. How do I know you're not hiding more? Lena's eyes glistened with unshed tears. You don't, she admitted, her voice barely above a whisper. Not for sure. But I'm asking you to take a chance on me. Ellie. I've never felt this way about anyone. Not Claire. Not anyone. You're my reason to fight for something real. Ellie's chest tightened. She'd spent her life running from risks hiding her queerness in Ohio, playing it safe to survive. But Lena was different. She made Ellie want to be brave, to leap into the unknown. Slowly, she set the letter down, her fingers brushing Lena's as she did. Okay, she said, her voice soft but resolute. But if we do this, we do it together. No more secrets. Lena's face broke into a tentative smile, and she pulled Ellie into a hug, her arms a safe haven against the storm. No more secrets, she promised, her voice muffled against Ellie's hair. The final week of filming was a whirlwind. With Claire gone, the set felt lighter. The crew's energy focused on wrapping Shades of Us with a bang. Ellie and Lena worked in sync, their chemistry palpable, not just in the scenes but in the quiet moments between takes. The crew noticed, their whispers turning from gossip to admiration. Ellie's performance was electric, her confidence growing with every scene, fueled by the fragile trust she and Lena were rebuilding. But the letter's shadow lingered. Ellie couldn't shake the fear that Lena's past would resurface, that Hollywood's pressures would test their love beyond repair. One night, after a late shoot, Ellie found Tara waiting for her outside the soundstage. You and Lena seem solid, Tara said, her tone cautious. But I heard something you should know. Ellie's stomach dropped. What now? She asked, bracing herself. Tara hesitated, then lowered her voice. The studio's pushing for a publicity stunt. They want Lena to play up her chemistry with Claire for the film's premiere. They think it'll sell tickets, especially with Claire's influencer status. Ellie's blood ran cold. Does Lena know? She asked, her voice sharp. Tara nodded. She's fighting it. But the producers are relentless. Just watch your back. Okay. Ellie felt like she'd been punched. She trusted Lena, but the idea of her being forced to fake a connection with Clarite was too much. That night, she confronted Lena in the editing bay, where Lena was reviewing footage, her face lit by the glow of the monitors. Is it true? Ellie asked, her voice steady despite the ache in her chest. Are you going along with this publicity stunt? Lena's head snapped up, her eyes wide with shock. No, she said firmly. I told them it's not happening. I'm not playing their games. Ellie. Not when it could hurt you. Ellie searched her face, looking for a lie, but all she saw was determination. What if they push harder? She asked. This is your career, Lena. You've worked so hard for this. Lena stood, closing the distance between them. You're worth more than any film, any career. I meant what I said at the observatory. I choose you. The words cracked something open in Ellie. She surged forward, kissing Lena with a fierceness that surprised them both. It was a kiss born of fear and hope, a promise to fight for what they had. Lena kissed her back, her hands tangling in Ellie's hair. And for a moment, the world was just them. The next day, Lena took a stand. In a meeting with the producers, she laid out her terms. No publicity stunts. No Claire. No compromises. Ellie wasn't there. But Tara relayed the story later, her eyes gleaming with respect. She told them she'd walk if they didn't respect her boundaries. I've never seen anyone stand up to the studio like that. Ellie's heart swelled with pride, but the fear lingered. Hollywood was a machine. And Lena was risking everything. As the premiere approached, the pressure mounted. Paparazzi started tailing them, fueled by rumors of Lena's past with Claire and her new mystery girl. Ellie felt exposed. Her private life splashed across tabloids. But Lena was a rock, shielding her as best she could. The night before the premiere, they escaped to a quiet diner on the outskirts of L. Sharing a plate of fries and a milkshake like they were just two people in love. Not a director and an actress under the industry's microscope. "Are you scared?" Ellie asked, her fingers tracing Lena's hand. "Terrified," Lena admitted, her smile wry. "But not of losing my career. I'm scared of losing you." Ellie's heart skipped. "You won't," she said, squeezing Lena's hand. "We're in this together. Remember?" The premiere loomed, a test of their resolve. Ellie knew the truth was still waiting backstage. But for the first time, she felt ready to face it with Lena by her side. The premiere of Shades of Us was a glittering spectacle at the TCL Chinese Theater. The red carpet a sea of flashing cameras and shouted questions. Ellie stood at the edge of it all, her emerald green dress hugging her frame, her heart pounding as she gripped Lena's hand. Lena, in a tailored black suit, was a vision of quiet strength, her blue eyes steady as they faced the chaos together. This was their moment, not just the film's, but theirs. Inside the theater, the lights dimmed, and the audience fell silent as Shades of Us began. Ellie watched herself on the screen, her performance raw and real, every emotion drawn from her love for Lena. The crowd gasped and cheered, the story of Mia's forbidden love resonating in ways Ellie hadn't expected. Lena's hand found hers in the dark, squeezing gently, and Ellie felt a surge of pride. They'd created something beautiful, something true. But the truth backstage was waiting. As the credits rolled and the applause thundered, Ellie spotted Claire in the crowd, her blonde hair catching the light. She was clapping, but her smile was sharp. Her eyes locked on Lena. Ellie's stomach twisted, but Lena's grip tightened, grounding her. After the screening, the after-party buzzed with industry types, champagne flowing as deals were made in hushed corners. Ellie and Lena stuck close, their connection a shield against the chaos. But Claire found them, her presence like a storm cloud. "Great film, Lena," she said, her voice dripping with false sweetness. "You always had a knack for making people believe in love." Lena's jaw tightened. "Thanks, Claire," she said coolly. "But we're done here." Claire's eyes flicked to Ellie, her smile tightening. "You're adorable, Ellie. But Hollywood's a tough place for young love. Be careful." Ellie's blood boiled, but she held her ground. "I'm not afraid of you," she said, her voice steady. "Or this town. Lena and I know what's real." Claire's smile faltered, and for the first time, Ellie saw a crack in her armor. She turned and disappeared into the crowd, her influence fading like a bad dream. Lena pulled Ellie close, her lips brushing her ear. "You're incredible," she whispered. "I don't deserve you." Ellie smiled, her heart full. "You do," she said. "We deserve each other." The rest of the night was a blur of congratulations and champagne. But for Ellie, the real victory was standing beside Lena, their hands intertwined. The reviews poured in the next day, praising the film's raw emotion and Ellie's breakout performance. Lena's direction was hailed as visionary, and Shades of Us became the talk of the town. But for Ellie and Lena, the real story was what they built together, a love that had survived secrets, doubts, and Hollywood's glare. Months later, they moved into a small house in the Hollywood Hills, a place filled with light and laughter. Ellie landed her next role, a lead in a major studio film, while Lena started developing her own project, a story about second chances. They faced the industry's pressures together. Their love a quiet rebellion against a world that tried to tear them apart. One evening, as they sat on their porch watching the sunset, Ellie turned to Lena. "Do you ever think about what might have happened if we hadn't fought for this?" she asked, her voice soft. Lena smiled, her eyes warm. "All the time. But I'd fight for you 1,000 times over." Ellie Harper. Ellie leaned in, kissing her softly, the city sprawling below them. They'd found love on set, faced the truth backstage, and come out stronger. It wasn't a perfect Hollywood ending, it was better. It was theirs.